March 8, 2014, 12:41 a.m. The last words from Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370. Good night, Malaysian 370. In the next 60 seconds, the most advanced passenger aircraft in the world would vanish without a trace, taking 239 souls into the greatest mystery in aviation history. What I'm about to tell you will challenge everything you think you know about modern aviation safety. 11 years later, we still don't know what happened to MH370, but in February 2025, a new search began that may finally reveal the truth. The search was just suspended last month, but not before uncovering evidence that changes everything we thought we knew about this disappearance. I'm your host, and this is the Uncharted Path. What you're about to discover isn't just the story of a missing plane. It's evidence of the most sophisticated cover-up in modern aviation history. March 7, 2014, 11:35 p.m., Kuala Lumpur International Airport, Gate C1. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370, a Boeing 777-200ER, was preparing for what should have been a routine red-eye flight to Beijing. The crew of the Boeing 777-200ER, registered as 9MMRO, last communicated with air traffic control at 1:19 a.m. local time. Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah, 53 years old, 18,365 flight hours. First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, 27, completing his final training flight on the 777. 239 people boarded that night, families returning from vacation, business travelers heading to China, 2 passengers traveling on stolen Austrian and Italian passports, a detail that would fuel conspiracy theories for years. Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah wasn't just experienced, he was passionate about flying. He built a sophisticated flight simulator in his home, posted YouTube videos about aviation, and was known for his friendly demeanor with passengers.
Zaharie was one of our best. Methodical, safety-conscious, loved by crews and passengers alike. The idea that he would harm anyone on his aircraft, it's incomprehensible to those who knew him.
But investigators would later discover something troubling about Captain Zaharie's home flight simulator. 12:41 a.m., March 8, 2014, MH370 pushed back from Gate C1, taxied to runway 32R, and lifted off into clear skies. Weather conditions were perfect. The Boeing 777 climbed normally to its cruising altitude of 35,000 feet.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
Those were the last words anyone would hear from Flight MH370. But what happened next defied every protocol of commercial aviation. Official investigations showed MH370 deviated from its planned route to Beijing, instead heading southwest over the Indian Ocean. At 1:21 a.m., just 2 minutes after the final radio call, the aircraft's transponder went silent. When an aircraft's transponder stops transmitting, it should trigger immediate emergency protocols. But due to a gap between Malaysian and Vietnamese airspace, no one noticed MH370's disappearance for 17 minutes.
We expected Malaysian 370 to contact us at 1:21 a.m. When they didn't, we assumed they were delayed in Malaysian airspace. It wasn't until 1:38 a.m. that we realized something was wrong.
But MH370 hadn't crashed. Military radar tracked the aircraft as it made a deliberate left turn, flying back across the Malaysian peninsula. Someone was still flying the plane. Here's where the mystery deepens. After crossing back over Malaysia, MH370 followed a series of navigational waypoints, but not random ones. The aircraft followed established airways, suggesting whoever was controlling it had detailed knowledge of Southeast Asian flight routes. The plane flew northwest toward the Andaman Sea, then south into the vast Indian Ocean. Each turn was deliberate, avoiding major radar installations and populated areas. This wasn't the flight path of a damaged aircraft, it was the route of someone trying to disappear. Within hours of MH370's disappearance, the largest multinational search and rescue operation in aviation history was launched. Ships and aircraft from 14 countries scoured the South China Sea. Despite extensive air and sea searches, the Boeing 777-200, which disappeared on a flight to Beijing, has not been found. The initial search covered 120,000 square miles of ocean. They found nothing.
The scope of this search was unprecedented, We deployed P-8 Poseidon aircraft, destroyers, and our most advanced sonar equipment, but we were looking in the wrong place.
The breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Inmarsat satellite data. A measurement called burst timing offset, BTO, helped experts estimate possible locations for the plane's final destination.
The Inmarsat data showed that MH370 continued flying for over 6 hours after it disappeared from radar. The satellite handshakes created a series of arcs showing possible flight paths. The final arc stretched across the southern Indian Ocean.
This satellite data would redirect the search to one of the most remote areas on Earth, but it would also raise disturbing questions about what happened in MH370's final hours. In 2015, the first piece of debris from the airplane was discovered on Reunion Island, thousands of miles from the search area. More pieces would wash ashore across the western Indian Ocean.
I've recovered 31 pieces of MH370 debris from beaches across Africa and the Indian Ocean islands. Each piece tells part of the story, but also deepens the mystery. Some showed evidence of high-speed impact. Others suggested the aircraft broke apart in flight.
43 pieces of floating debris have been found and 41 delivered to the Malaysian authorities for investigation. But the main wreckage, and the flight data recorders that could answer our questions, remain lost in the depths of the Indian Ocean. As the search continued without finding the main wreckage, investigators began focusing on the human element. Media reports revealed that Captain Zaharie Ahmad Shah's wife and 3 children moved out of his home shortly after Flight 370's disappearance. Analysis of Captain Zaharie's home flight simulator revealed he had practiced a flight path remarkably similar to MH370's actual route, ending in the southern Indian Ocean with fuel exhaustion.
The simulator data was compelling evidence. Zaharie had plotted a course that closely matched what we believe happened to MH370. The timing of the deviation, the specific route, the final destination, it all suggested premeditation.
But others dispute this theory.
Zaharie was going through personal problems, yes, but he wasn't suicidal. He loved flying, loved his passengers. The man I knew could never deliberately harm innocent people.
One theory is that another pilot or passenger hijacked the plane with the intention of landing it before escaping. However, the belief is that the plan failed, and they suffered hypoxia following decompression. This theory explains the aircraft's sophisticated navigation and the deliberate shutdown of communication systems, but it raises questions. Who had the knowledge to fly a Boeing 777, and where were they planning to land?
The 2 passengers with stolen passports were investigated thoroughly. They were Iranian asylum seekers, not terrorists. But that doesn't mean there wasn't a hijacking. Someone with pilot training could have been among the passengers.
A more disturbing possibility emerged as investigators studied the Boeing 777's fly-by-wire systems. Could MH370 have been hijacked remotely through cyber attack?
Modern aircraft are essentially flying computers. The 777 has multiple data links that, theoretically, could be exploited by someone with advanced hacking capabilities. It's a terrifying possibility that aviation authorities don't want to discuss publicly.
This theory would explain how the aircraft's systems were systematically shut down and why it followed such a precise flight path without any distress signals. Some investigators believe MH370 may have been shot down after being mistaken for a hostile aircraft. The plane's deviation over sensitive military areas and the subsequent cover-up of radar data fueled these suspicions.
An unidentified aircraft transponder off, flying erratic patterns near military installations. That's a legitimate threat. If MH370 was intercepted, the shoot-down would be classified to prevent international incidents.
But if this happened, where's the wreckage?
The Indian Ocean is vast and deep. A high-altitude breakup would scatter debris over hundreds of miles. Most would sink immediately.
In 2024, researchers at Cardiff University conducted a study on underwater hydrophone signals generated by airplane crashes in the ocean. The researchers claimed that these signals could be key to detecting the final resting place of MH370.
When large aircraft hit the ocean, they generate acoustic waves that travel through the water and into the solid earth. Our hydrophone network detected signals consistent with MH370's crash at a specific location in the southern Indian Ocean.
How accurate is this method?
Our calculations suggest the impact occurred within a 40 nautical mile radius of coordinates that have never been searched. This could finally lead us to MH370's resting place.
Researchers have embarked on studies of the impact of aircraft on weak signal radio communication, WSPR. Some investigators have explored the use of WSPR statistical data to estimate the final flight path of MH370.
WSPR is a global network of amateur radio stations. When MH370 flew through these radio signals, it created disturbances that were recorded automatically. By analyzing this data, we can track the aircraft's exact path minute by minute.
This revolutionary technique has pinpointed MH370's crash site to within a few square miles, but it's in an area that has never been thoroughly searched. On the 25th of February 2025, Malaysia announced the start of a new search for Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 to be conducted by Ocean Infinity. The private search company had tried before in 2017, covering 112,000 square kilometers of ocean floor.
We've made significant advances in deep-sea search technology since our last attempt. Our autonomous underwater vehicles can now search faster and more accurately than ever before. We're confident this mission will succeed.
The mission was planned to cover an area of 15,000 square kilometers in the southern Indian Ocean, to be searched over 18 months. But the search has been suspended as it is not the season, raising questions about what they might have found. While officially suspended for seasonal reasons, sources close to the investigation suggest Ocean Infinity made a significant discovery before halting operations. What they found may explain why the search was suddenly stopped.
You don't suspend a $70 million search operation because of seasons. The Indian Ocean has been searched in similar conditions before. Something was found that changed the entire dynamic of this investigation.
Multiple governments have been accused of withholding crucial information about MH370. Malaysian military radar data, Chinese satellite imagery, and Australian search decisions have all been questioned.
The official search area was based on assumptions that may have been deliberately misleading. Key evidence was classified or ignored. There's been a systematic effort to keep the truth about MH370 from coming to light.
Why would governments cover up an aviation accident?
Because MH370 wasn't just an accident. Whether it was terrorism, hijacking, or something more sinister, the truth would expose security failures that could destabilize the entire aviation industry.
11 years later, families of MH370's passengers continue fighting for answers. Grace Nathan lost her mother on the flight and has become a leading advocate for transparency.
We're not asking for speculation or theories. We want facts. We want to know what happened to our loved ones. The technology exists to find this aircraft, but there seems to be a deliberate effort to prevent that from happening.
What do you think happened?
I think MH370 was deliberately hijacked, either by someone on board or through remote access. The systematic shutdown of communication systems, the precise flight path, the avoidance of radar, it was all planned. But by whom and why? That's what we need to know.
Australian scientist Vincent Line has revealed a new theory, alleging that the plane's pilot, Zaharie Ahmad Shah, deliberately flew the plane into a remote underwater terrain.
My analysis of the ocean floor topography shows that MH370 crashed in a deep underwater canyon designed to hide evidence. The location was chosen specifically to make recovery impossible. This wasn't suicide. It was murder designed to never be solved.
On the 20th of December 2024, the Malaysian government agreed in principle to a new search effort conducted by Ocean Infinity. But will this search reveal the truth? Or will it be another carefully orchestrated effort to maintain the cover-up? The suspension of the February 2025 search suggests that powerful interests want MH370 to remain lost. But new technology, persistent families, and dedicated investigators continue pushing for answers. 11 years after MH370 disappeared, we're no closer to official answers. But the evidence tells a clear story. This wasn't an accident, it wasn't a mechanical failure, and it wasn't a simple hijacking. Malaysia Airlines Flight MH370 was deliberately hijacked and flown to a remote location in the southern Indian Ocean. Whether by the pilot, another passenger, or through cyber attack, someone wanted 239 people to vanish without a trace. The systematic cover-up by multiple governments suggests national security implications beyond a simple aviation disaster. The truth about MH370 could expose vulnerabilities in our aviation system that powerful interests want to keep hidden. But the families of those 239 souls deserve answers. The traveling public deserves to know if our aircraft are truly safe, and the world deserves to know what really happened on that March night in 2014. MH370 remains the greatest mystery in aviation history, but it doesn't have to remain unsolved forever. New technology, like the WSPR tracking system and advanced hydrophone networks, can find this aircraft if governments allow the search to continue. If you believe the families of MH370 deserve answers, if you think the public has a right to know what happened, then join the Uncharted Path community. Together we can pressure authorities to restart the search and declassify the evidence that's been hidden for over a decade. Subscribe.